Hi everyone, I'm Patsy and welcome to Sea Bags Live. We are going to take, well, let's call it a magical mystery tour. We're going into a place in the sea bags world that some of us have never been, but here's the man who knows so much about it. This is Sean in our sale trade program and in sales for sea bags. And you have been in the midst of it, in the deep of it for years now. Right?
Yeah, that's right. So I've been with Seabags for 5 years and working specifically in the sale trade program as part of our sale acquisition team for the past 4 years. So I've been managing that from our Portland headquarters, and a lot of that time is spent here at our warehouse in South Portland, where all of our raw material is kept. We cut all of our raw material here, so the sales are spread out and hand cut by our sale cutters, to then be transported over to our production facility on Custom House Wharf. And really, this is where all the magic begins. When we acquire the sales through our acquisition process, the sale trade program, they all come here first, where they're evaluated by size and condition, they're inventoried, and they're cut for the day-to-day production needs of the company.
Well, let's take a walking tour. So I'll just follow you and you can kind of take us along. So let's say people have dropped their sales off, or your crews have gone off and picked up all the sales wherever they are around the country. They drop them here.
That's right.
So then what happens? They come through here.
So either the sales are acquired, as Patsy led to, either through way of coming into our now 19 retail locations.
Right.
Actually, today's the opening. Side note:
right.
Today is the opening day of Rehoboth Beach, Seabags Rehoboth Beach in Delaware.
Very exciting.
So all of the sales can be brought into our retail locations, and then from the retail locations, we work to get them back to the warehouse, where either they are freed up to cut for general production, or what we'll do is there'll be an order for the material, and we'll make bags specifically from a customer's sale material if they ask us to. So that's something that's really fun for us. A lot of these sales have sentimental value.
Sure.
They all have stories of their days on the sea, and making the bag specifically from that material is really exciting. Another way that we acquire the sale material is we have our sale acquisition team. So we have a Northwest acquisition manager stationed in Seattle. We have our Northeast acquisition manager whose territory is anywhere from as far south as Annapolis, Maryland, all the way over to Chicago, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And when he goes out in the company van, he'll fill it all the way to the ceiling and bring those sales back here, and that's the first step in acquiring the sales. The first hand, if you will, that touches in the process of building a sea bag.
So just take a look around. There are a few sales.
More than a few.
No, because one of the questions often people have is, won't you run out of sales? Well, I quickly looked up online before I came over here, Sean, that there are like 3.6 million sailboats out there with sails on them. No, that's just one figure out of one survey.
Yeah.
But when you picture around the world, there are sails everywhere.
Yeah, and that's a really impressive number. I'll say in the history of sea bags, we've recycled upwards of 700 tons of sail material, which otherwise would have potentially ended up in the landfill. So that's really the sustainable practice that we're focused on and the cornerstone of the company. And I'd say right now, as long as people keep sailing, I'm not worried about us running out of sales.
Right.
There's still so much area that we can cover within the United States, internationally, so really nothing but opportunity there. And as long as people still share that mindset, and I think sailors are very conscious of it as well. You know, they're tied to the ocean, so they're worried about the sustainable practices as well. And you know, if they share that goal with us, I'm not worried about running out of material.
Right.
And there's just, whether we add more acquisition managers across the country to target certain demographics. And another thing that we offer is, if you don't have a acquisition member in your neighborhood, if you don't live near a Seabags retail store, call Portland, Maine, and we'll figure out how to ship those here to our warehouse. We'll provide you with access to our UPS shipping account, and we'll get that sale here. There's one of our sayings is there's no sail too small or too far away.
I love that.
Right.
Another way that sales are gathered is through our Seabags women's sailing team.
Oh, absolutely, of course.
So in all of their racing, after and during and before their races, which just began last weekend.
That's
fact,
right. They had
in
their
Tampa,
first regatta
their
of the
midwinters,
season, which was a really great success for them.
Yeah.
And they are just incredible brand ambassadors for us. We love having them as part of the Seabags team. And they contribute to this process as well. When they're at the regattas with their fellow sailors,
Right.
they let them know, bring your sails to the event. Seabags will be there, racing, out there with them, and we'll take any sails that you want to recycle back to Maine.
Yeah.
So
And often
they're a
you'll
big part
see
of that
them bringing the
process.
sails into the store on Custom House Wharf.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's a great exchange of stories too. Every sail, as you say, has a story. So there's this one wall over here, or the shelves over here. And tell us about what we're looking at here with the tags. 'Cause these
Absolutely.
are all special,
Yeah, why don't we?
private,
They-
kind of projects that people want you to do. right?
Absolutely, and happy to talk about this. So these sails on these shelves here are actually, came in specifically through our sale trade program with the idea of having product made specifically from the sails for the customers. So a lot of these were sent to us via UPS, or like I mentioned earlier, came in through the retail store, and now we're working with the customer to find out what is your ideal bag from your sale look like.
Nice.
And if you're interested, I can actually pull a
Let's- yeah,
specific
let's
sale
do
from the
that.
shelf
Yeah,
and show
let's-
you what that's going to look
Yeah,
like.
let's hear a story. So someone has brought this sail to you.
Yeah, and so this sale specifically was one shipped to us from across the country, and I've been back and forth in communication with the customer, and we've decided what that bag's going to look like and what we're going to make for them from the sale.
Nice.
So we have that conversation, we figure out what that trade's gonna look like. The typical trade is one sea bag product per sale recycled with us, and that trade is determined based on the size of the sale,
Right.
also the condition of the material, and we really try to make that as advantageous for both the customer trading in that sale as well as the company. And so now that we've had that discussion, I would communicate that with one of our sale cutters here at the wharf. We will be hand cutting the order, let him know what we need specifically for the customer. And once we cut that order, the rest of the material is also ready to turn into sea bags.
Right. So they really wanted something special out of this sail.
Yeah.
This has been in the family, they've been sailing with this sail.
Yeah, and I don't want to ruin the surprise, but this
Right.
is going to be a gift, so it's really special.
Right.
It's a story in which sisters learned to sail on this boat. One sister went through this process and is now gifting it to the
That's
other.
a great
So I hope that doesn't give anything
No.
away, but
That was good.
so,
Fabulous.
and what we're gonna do for them is, this is a sail from an ensign. So what this is the class emblem. And we refer to this as our vintage product line. So that's
Head of the sail.
yeah, really we call it the sweet spot.
The sweet
so
spot.
whenever we're cutting a sail, this is the first thing we cut away from it, and then we work with the rest of the white Dacron material. So this would be our vintage collection bags that, we cut this panel and we turn that right into a bag. Our design team isn't adding any other, design characteristics to it. We think this is really special and authentic to our brand. And what we're going to be doing with this logo specifically is turning that into one of our large tote bags. So you'll see this E with the blue star surrounding it, really right on the front of a tote bag, wrapping around the back. It's going to be the feature,
Beautiful.
the focal point, if you will.
Beautiful.
And so we'll cut that here. This panel will come back over to our production facility on Custom House Wharf, working waterfront in Portland. The bag will be completed, and then as part of our sale trade program, another thing that's really special is we'll ship that out free of cost to the customer as well.
So a sail this size, say, the sweet spot, and then how much of the sail
Yeah, let me pull out
is
some of them.
used?
We can get a sense of how big the sail is. I'll pull out.
Yeah. And as you mentioned the vintage too, when people find, all these beautiful seams and telltales or whatever, that makes it all the more unique.
Yeah, and that's why the product is really, as you said, very unique. You can send, you could put two bags next to each other with the same design on
Right.
it and still point out all the features on that bag that's different. Whether that comes in the form of, you know, the natural stitching that you see on the sail,
Right.
you know, that's there from the sail making process.
Here's another made by?
A maker's mark, so
Yeah.
that's really a cool feature as
Very
well. You can
cool.
actually see who made this sail if you get that on a tote bag. And then, obviously from years of the water, depending how, you know, in what conditions it was used in. Was it used on the ocean, salt water? Was it used in freshwater lakes?
Right.
Was it used in racing? Was it casual day sailing? They all showed those different signs of use, and that'll come in the, you know, the
Okay.
form of, you know, sometimes you'll have thicker sail material, softer sail material, depending on how it was used. You'll see telltales, which we consider to be good luck at sea bags. When they're being sailed, it's to show, you know, it's a
Right.
practical tool. It's actually
right.
to show the direction of the wind. And then you'll see we'll incorporate the grommet holes from the sails. Any features that, you know,
Well, you'll find these in the totes and all.
yeah,
Just everything.
the grommets you'll find,
It's all-
and so that's really, you know, because all the sails that we bring in are different. The product is inherently different as well. So it's really fun to do that.
It's fabulous.
And from this, you know, we'll cut out the ensign logo up top. We'll also use the sail numbers, and then the rest of it, we'll use the rest of the white Dacron material, and we'll apply Seabags designs to that. Whether it's an applique design in which we're stitching on the insignia to the bag. We have a wide variety of those designs, and then we also are printing on the bags now as well. So, you know, it's really incredible how sprawling the line is and
Right.
has become,
Right.
and all the detail that goes into it.
And all of this is kind of sectioned off. It means it's very organized.
It is. It wasn't
It
always
really
like
is.
this. It was.
So how was it at the beginning?
I can tell you exactly that. So, one, when our warehouse has expanded, but about 5 years ago, this space this was the warehouse. So all of our sails were stored in here, all the cutting was in here. And you'd be lucky if you could get this much floor space to cut the sail. If you can imagine looking at these shelves that we have now, where, you know, it looks well organized and all the sails are tagged with customer names. If you can imagine a sail pile up to the ceiling that came out to approximately where you're standing now, that was our organization, our level of organization then. So
But at
we've
least
come a
they
long
were
way.
somewhere.
Yes,
They were here.
Exactly. They weren't thrown away.
Right.
They ended up here.
Right.
It was just not quite as organized.
Yeah. And 20 years ago, we might step away from the van up there. Allison's behind camera here.
Hi guys.
That this is Seabags. This is how it all came to be
Yeah.
and started.
So and we're so, you know, we really are so grateful for the community of boaters that have participated in the trade program, participated and then told their friends, their neighbors, the rest of their sailing community, because without the sail trade program, we wouldn't be able to exist as a company. It's where the majority of our raw material comes from, and it connects us back to the sport. You know, it's really, we want our brand to be truly authentic to the sport of sailing, and we wouldn't be able to do it without those sailors, and we know that.
And different textures as in the retail stores, you know, people feel it. Sometimes the totes or whatever people are looking at. It feels different. Each sail is different. And you've got the new Kevlar, but not new, but
Yeah.
as far as Kevlar used in sailing because it's so strong.
Yeah,
Five
it's more
times
of a
stronger than steel.
yeah, it's extremely strong, and it's really a high-tech sail material that's used primarily for racing,
Right.
offshore. You know, you see the Volvo Ocean Race,
Right.
the Atlantic Cup on those larger, you know, 40-foot boats that are racing in really extreme conditions. You're seeing a lot of that material. Primarily, the majority of our tote bags are made from the Dacron material, which is a polyester. And as you were saying, it's all so unique and it varies from, you know, touch. That's why our retail stores are so important. It allows the customer to come in and touch and feel the bags, and get a sense of, you know, like I said, you can look at the same bag, but by touching them, they're so different.
Exactly.
Yeah. And our customers have different preferences.
Right.
Some people want a really soft sail material. Other people would like it to have a little bit more structure and firm. So it's really important to be able to touch and feel and get that sense of the bag.
And some people are really out there to find the Sailmakers logo. You know, some people really want this particular Sailmaker, the brand, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Or, let's see, I'm trying to think of the J-boats, J24, again, the women's sailing team.
Yeah.
You know, that's, if someone comes in and sees that J, they're sold.
And it can be,
Exciting.
you know, if you come in and see a J series vintage tote bag,
Right.
it may be that you grew up sailing, you know, a J22, a J24,
Right.
or it may be as simple as your name starts with J.
Right.
And, you know, so you want
Right.
that bag.
Right.
And then with the numbers, people come in and their lucky number is 15.
Right.
And they happen to see a beautiful 15 across the tote bag. So they really, they have a lot of different meanings depending on who that person is and what they can tie that
It's
to in
all
their
built
life.
in. Passion about all of this is amazing. I think everyone who's connected in all of our stores has a passion in some which way to this wonderful world of sales.
Absolutely. We had visitors this week. Earlier in the week, we had our annual manager summit. So employees that work at some of our remote retail locations had the opportunity to come into the Portland headquarters. They toured the warehouse, they toured our production facility, and each and every one of them left with the sense of how passionate all the employees are, and they were absolutely blown away by that. And they can then go back to their store employees and share that same passion. And so you really get a sense of how important it is to everyone, and yeah.
Yeah, and the sailing world is growing. There are going to be younger generations coming into it. There's the Sail Maine program. There are all these wonderful programs. And we're very involved with Sail Maine, with the scholarship possibility.
Yeah, and we were actually, myself and our wholesale manager, Dylan Leary, we were able to go to their event last night, their
Nice.
winter warm-up for Sail Maine.
Nice.
And as you said, part of that was hearing young sailors telling their stories of how they got into the sport of sailing. And I think with both of them, they started very fearful of the idea. And then they said by the end of their first day of sailing, they didn't want to get off the boat.
Right.
So, you know, it's all about conquering that fear, becoming part of, you know, a larger community that ties them in with something bigger than themselves. And so that was really interesting to hear. And part of that program that you mentioned, if a sailor wants to recycle their sail with us, but they say, you know, I don't necessarily need a bag in exchange for that. Another thing that we'll do is we'll say, well, you know, you can make that as a contribution to our Seabag Scholarship with Sail Maine.
It's great.
And what that is we support we support their youth sailing program.
Mm-hmm.
So really great to introduce
great program.
young children who wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to get onto the water in other ways.
So what's the bigger picture now for this, the growth? How do you foresee things happening 5, 10, 15 years down the road? Do we need another warehouse? Will there be, because you're going to need more space, it seems, along the way.
We always need more space,
Right.
and which is a good problem to have.
Good problem.
And it's sort of the ongoing joke that whenever we move into slightly larger space, and we say, all right, this should keep us set for the next couple of years, and then a month later and it's filled and we're already talking about new space. So definitely that's going to be part of the growth strategy, is because, you know, our hope is to continue to open more retail stores. We're going to be in Watch Hill, Rhode Island next week, opening store number 20, which is really exciting. 20 stores for 20 years.
Yes.
And we're not stopping there. So in order to support that, we're also going to need to bring in more sales.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to need the space to store them. So I think that's all definitely part of the growth strategy, and it's going to be really exciting to watch.
It is exciting. It
Because
is.
you know, in the 5 years I've been with the company, it's been nothing but growth. And I was told that when I started. I said, you know, this is I was told this is a very fast-paced environment,
Yeah.
a lot of change, and that's not going to stop. And I was like, yeah, I get it. And then it happened. I'm like, it's really been pedal to the floor ever since I started. We haven't put our foot on the brake, so it's exciting.
Very fun. Very fun. Thanks, John.
Thank
It's
you.
been great.
Yeah.
Again, what a rare time we've had here, because we don't get an opportunity to be in this space.
I know, and I, just to add one more thing, I feel like I sometimes take it for granted because I am here so frequently, and then it's great to bring, whether it be an employee or someone from outside of the company, bring them here, and it's just, see the look of awe on their face.
Yes.
Like, you have this many sales?
What?
And it's like, well, yeah, we actually have some more over there. And so it's really fun to introduce that to more people.
It is amazing.
The behind the scenes look.
We forgot to offer our viewers, Allison, to say if you had any questions.
We
We're
haven't
right
had
there.
any questions come
Because they're
through.
absorbed by your whole wonderful story.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's thrilling stuff.
Yes, it's great. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
So we'll be back next week with more of our stories. There's so many. In fact, I'm remembering some right now, working in the retail store, and some of the people who brought their sales in. They're just great stories, really genuinely heartfelt stories.
And really, I love that part of the job
Yeah.
as well, hearing those stories.
Do you remember the woman who came in with her sale, and her son was getting married, and it was a family sale, and they made wine bags?
I do. They
Remember?
made wine bags from the sale to give as gifts for the
Yes,
bridesmaids. I think
yes.
we did some toiletry bags as well for the groomsmen, and then we were able to make one of our wedding guest book totes out of the
Yes.
material as well, which we sent a panel to the event. All the guests were able to sign the interior panel, and that's really special. So we cut up her whole sale, and
And she came in and she was wildly happy,
Yeah.
just so happy, and that's the other part of this too.
it really is. It
Yeah.
really is.
Well, we could make this an hour-long show or a couple hours. We'll do this again. Thanks, Sean.
There's going to be more updates. Yeah.
Thanks. We'll see you next week, everyone. Thanks.